Is that a good sign?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
We're ready. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Todd O'Hair with the Montana Chamber of Commerce, and Bridger just confirmed we are officially on day 50 of a 90-day legislative session, and so we are continuing to knock the days down. And so thanks everyone for joining us. Just as a quick reminder, we record the discussion Bridger and I have, and then we stop recording. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask when we get done with our conversation, please feel free to just jump in and ask questions that you might have about legislation we covered, or legislation that you're hearing about, or rumors or thoughts that you might have. So with that, Bridger, on the official 50th day of the legislative session, a big week this week. How did things turn out?
Yeah, Todd. So this was the week after the legislature returned from their transmittal break. In sessions past, at least in my experience, I've seen that week is generally a slow roll, getting back into the rhythm. But I thought that really wasn't the case this go around, and I think that might be an indicator of something I'll get to momentarily. But yes, there were several important bills to the chamber that had hearings this week, including 4 of Governor Gianforte's tax reform proposals that we are in strong support of, in addition to one of our own priority bills, our wrongful discharge reform. And so, yes, we're on day 50, and given the pace of important bills that came up this week, and also some other things we're hearing, we believe there's potential for the legislature angling to save some days in the legislature, if you will. And basically what that means is that they would pause the clock for a little bit, go on a recess, and come back a little bit later in the spring. This isn't confirmed, these are things we're hearing, but the reason that they're contemplating this is, if folks are paying attention to the federal level, a COVID-19 relief bill was passed, and anticipating that that's going to get signed into law. Every state is going to be receiving a boatload of money. And the guidance on how to use those dollars is still to be determined. We're hearing that could be in June, but the legislature, we believe, is considering saving some legislative days to come back after we know how much money the state's going to get, and when we have a little bit more guidance on how it can be used. The legislature might be interested in having a role in how those funds are allocated for the next biennium. So,
and if they don't save the days, then they'd have to call themselves back into a special session, or have the governor call them in, and that's not easy to do.
No, that's basically like turning off the car and starting it up again, and that's obvious. I mean, it's a lot easier to just put it in park while it's started and then get back and drive again. There's a lot of costs associated with winding down a session, winding up a special session. So I would believe, and based on what I'm hearing, that if they're going to save some days to be able to address the federal dollars, that they'd probably be more likely to just put the session on pause instead of sine die and then ramp something else up.
So we had a hearing on one of our priority bills this week. Which bill was that?
Yeah, that was House Bill 254, sponsored by Representative Ross Fitzgerald out of the Fairfield area near Great Falls. And that is our bill to amend the Wrongful Discharge Act to remove some ambiguity in how that works in the employment relationship. And we had a good hearing on that just the other day here in Senate Business and Labor. Of course, it's crossed through the House already. We're now on the Senate side. And just yesterday morning after that hearing, it passed out of the Senate committee. And so we're expecting to see one of our other priority bills on the floor of the second body here in just the coming days. And we're inching closer to another big win for business this session, Todd.
Cautiously optimistic on that bill.
Of course, never take anything for granted, but we think the momentum's on our side for that one.
What about next week? How do we see things kind of lining up for next week?
Yeah, and I've started to line up a little bit of what we have going on next week. Another one of our priority bills that has crossed through the Senate already because it's a Senate bill, Senate Bill 251, sponsored by Majority Leader Kerry Smith, is one of our other big priority bills that has to do with tort reform, and to ensure that that essentially, when it comes to the cost of litigation for a business, especially in personal injury lawsuits, that those are reasonable costs for the business. And so that's a big deal for us. That's going to be heard in House Business and Labor this Thursday, the 18th. So that's obviously number one on our radar. We're going to have a few other things we're interested in, that some more legal reform bills. Again, this is a big session for that. We're also going to be supporting a resolution clarifying Montana's strong position in support of the Keystone XL pipeline. We know things are at a little bit of standstill at the federal level with that, but we know that that's a major job creator and economic development opportunity for the state. And so we're going to continue to move our position forward, hopefully as a state, if the resolution passes.
So the 4 priority bills that the Montana Chamber has been leading an effort on are all related to tort reform and fit underneath that Envision 2026 bucket of business climate. And this was a session that we felt like this was where we could focus our efforts. And we've always been focused on the art of the possible. And we think that this is a session that we can make some significant strides in tort reform. Governor Gene Forte is bringing forward some tax reform packages, and we're getting behind those and supporting them as well. So it's great to see that we're still focused on those big priorities of the business community.
Yeah, and workforce development hasn't been set aside either. There have been some great bills put forward this session, including a couple that were heard this week. Representative Fred Anderson of Great Falls has 2 bills that are going to remove some barriers for businesses to participate in work-based learning opportunities. So when you pair those bills with a few other initiatives we're working on this session, there's going to be some wins for workforce development, which we know is among the top, if not the number 1 priority for our members.
Great. Well, I think we can stop the recording now and open it up to any questions or comments or thoughts that anyone is with us today might have, and then we'll distribute the recorded version, the first piece of this, sometime on Monday. So if you have folks that would like to see this, just direct them to this recording that we'll distribute on Monday. So questions?